How It Starts, written by Ed Vassie. Exterior, inner city street, morning. Joe, late 20s, scampers down the sidewalk, weaving a path through the crowds of pedestrians. His fit physique is hidden under his ill-fitting suit. A homeless man leans against a shop front window, brandishing a dog-eared cardboard sign that reads, "Less wars, more whores."
We're all gonna die!
Joe dodges him and comes to a group of mothers wheeling their prams in the standard selfish formation, 3 abreast, leaving no room for others to get past. He sidesteps onto the road. A car pulls out in front of him. The driver blasts his horn. He hops back onto the sidewalk. The satchel dangling from his shoulder clips one of the mothers.
Hey!
Joe doesn't stop.
I'm really, really sorry!
He continues sprinting along the sidewalk until he reaches a corner where he stops dead in his tracks. The line for the bus is long and there's no bus in sight. As he dawdles towards the line, the mothers catch up to him. Mother number 1 slaps him.
Scumbag! She's a mother, you know.
I'm sorry!
Joe shrinks into the line. A fellow commuter raises his eyebrows and smiles.
Jesus, should send them into battle.
An elderly woman standing in front of Joe is watching a news report on her smartphone with the volume turned up to the max. Joe shakes his head in disbelief. On phone, a man in a suit stands at a lectern puffing his chest out. Joe rolls his eyes and watches the traffic.
Yesterday, we as a nation were dealt a telling blow. 3 of our beloved citizens were executed by the fanatical death cult Islamic State. Today, we are at war. We are at war with the death cult itself, and with any nation harboring them.
A garbage truck blasts past the bus line with its horn blaring, causing everyone to jump out of their skin. Exterior bus stop, moments later. The line of commuters makes its way onto a bus one by one. Joe trudges towards the doors. As he is about to climb on, he spots a man with slicked back hair charging towards the bus in his tailored pinstripe suit. Mr. Slick leaps onto the bus ahead of Joe.
Hey!
The bus driver raises his hand to signal the bus is full. He spots Joe's venomous glare and thinks better of it.
Okay, one more.
Interior, bus, moments later. Joe stands at the front of the bouncing bus facing Mr. Slick. He eyeballs him.
Can I help you, champ?
Joe seethes in silence. Suddenly, the bus jerks to a halt. The doors open. Passengers file out. Those left standing look for an empty seat. Mr. Slick sits in a seat reserved for the elderly. Joe's eyes flare with exasperation.
Joe?
He turns towards the back of the bus and sees his friend Cameron, early 30s, waving at him. Cameron is dressed in sportswear and is shaking his traditional morning protein shake. Joe sits next to him.
Nice suit.
Thanks.
Interview?
Yeah.
Cool, you excited?
I don't get excited anymore. I'm thinking of writing a textbook on what not to say.
Things will pick up. Maybe they'll introduce some work for the war effort scheme or something.
Yeah, that shit escalated quickly.
A moment of silent contemplation. The bus jerks to a stop. People get off, people get on. A pregnant woman waddles along the aisle. Mr. Slick remains seated. Joe seethes, starts to stand. Another man stands, offers his seat to the pregnant woman. Cameron notices Joe's anger and puts his hand on Joe's arm.
Stand down.
Joe sits.
Sorry. I just hate that giant pinstripe dick is all.
Joe maintains a silent rage.
You alright? You seem aggressively hormonal.
Sorry. Just need today to go well.
Interior, bus, moments later. Cameron and Joe sit in silence. Rain starts lashing the windows.
How are Anna and Jane?
Joe smiles. Exterior, park, day. Jane, 18 months old and painfully cute with blonde pigtails, stumbles into Joe's waiting arms.
Good. Jane's walking now. All this shit that's going on goes straight over her head.
Interior, bus, morning. Joe, still smiling, gazes out the window. Suddenly, dubstep music blasts throughout the bus, cutting into every conversation. Mr. Slick pulls out his ringing phone, answers it.
Crawford, how are you, man? Yeah, man, I'm on the bus.
Joe, incredulous, turns to Cameron.
Relax, Joe.
I'm trying. It's just that this guy is such a douchebag. I can't even think of what to call him.
How about a gigadouche?
What comes after gigabyte?
Terabyte?
Well, there you go. He's a terra-douche.
Looks like we'll have to dust off the war bonds.
Joe turns back to Cameron.
Baker, Fucking typical.
Relax. That vein on your temple is starting to grow a vein of its own.
Joe closes his eyes and massages his temples while Mr. Slick continues his phone call.
You gotta chill out. Take solace in the thought that that guy probably has a micro penis.
Joe stops massaging.
Are micro penises really a thing?
Oh yeah. Saw a guy at the gym the other day and with one. Looked like a shriveled up grape.
Joe resumes massaging.
Okay. Thinking of his micro penis, staying calm. Micro penis, micro penis, micro penis.
Joe opens his eyes and instantly stops massaging his temples. The woman in the seat directly in front of him stares at him while covering her young daughter's ears.
Sorry.
The woman turns back around. A moment of silence between Joe and Cameron as Cameron vibrates like a paint mixer in an effort to suppress his laughter.
It's hard to relax when the whole country is on edge, you know?
Cameron fends off the laughter and stares out of the window. Mr. Slick continues waffling into his phone in the background.
Yeah. A lot of uncertainty for a whole lot of people. I think they'll announce when the second deployment will ship out to the Gulf soon. You know anyone who's been deployed?
Brother-in-law.
Shit, sorry man.
Thanks. I just don't understand how it came to this. I mean, it's not like...
Joe turns to Mr. Slick. He's still on his phone.
So you've done her already? Reckon she'll be up for it? Friday, maybe?
Joe snaps.
Can you spare us the details of your next indecent assault charge? Fuck!
The woman in front covers her daughter's ears again. Mr. Slick turns around and holds up his hand, his fingers extended. He stares at Joe with his shark eyes. Joe sinks into his chair like a turtle taking refuge in his shell. One by one, Mr. Slick curls his fingers into the palm of his hand. He keeps the final finger, his middle finger, extended for an extra moment before completing his fist. Joe, slightly shaken, turns to Cameron.
Sorry, what were we talking about?
Interior, bus, moments later. The bus is now full. Joe and Cameron lean in close to hear each other above the murmuring of the other passengers.
You see, they say that, but I don't understand what was so special about those hostages. Why are we all of a sudden at war with an entire region because some rogue Arab militia knocked off a reporter's daughter and an oil tycoon's son? Plenty of other people have been killed.
We'll never know. How's Anna coping?
Interior, apartment lounge room, night. Anna, late 20s, cute as a button, lies on her side on a gigantic couch, sobbing.
Mark gets deployed on Saturday. She's upset. That's probably an understatement. I actually prefer it when she cries. Sounds crazy, I know, but at least when she cries, I know to give her a hug. Poor little Jane doesn't even know what's happening.
Joe slides onto the couch behind Anna, puts an arm around her, and pulls her towards him to spoon. Jane, standing in front of them, stares.
Breaks her fucking heart.
Interior, bus, morning. The bus stops. Passengers standing in the aisle shuffle about to make room for those getting off. A shoulder bag clatters into Joe's face.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I just can't comprehend how opinions, beliefs, disputes, whatever, escalate to the point where we think it's okay to send thousands of people to the other side of the world to die. I mean, how did it all start anyway?
The bus pulls away. A woman standing in the aisle falls in front of Mr. Slick, who ignores her gesture for a helping hand. Joe groans. Mr. Slick stares directly at Joe's retinas.
No idea.
Huh?
I got no idea how it all started. Maybe somebody couldn't let something go and it just snowballed from there. That was my grand's recipe for disaster. Snowballs.
Mr. Slick, still staring at Joe, slices his finger across his throat.
Maybe your grand's onto something there.
Interior, bus. Moments later. The bus slows down. Joe turns to Cameron.
Well, this is me. See you next Thursday, yeah?
Joe stands, checks his pockets, and notices Mr. Slick standing.
Sure will. You take it easy. And quit picking fights with fucking psychos.
Mr. Slick stands in the aisle, bouncing his head to a tune in his headphones.
I will. It's all good. Chakra is centered. I'll be fine.
Cameron chuckles.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Joe hops off, closely followed by Mr. Slick. Exterior, busy intersection. Moments later, Joe stands on the very edge of the sidewalk. Behind him, a large army of suits and gym-ready professionals jockey for the best position to cross from. Joe is inches from the passing traffic. A bus thunders past. A gust of wind pushes him back into the people behind him. The mass of people continues to grow. 5 rows back from Joe stands Mr. Slick. His glare could kill every puppy in the world. Another bus whooshes past.
Shit!
An elderly woman, propped up by her Zimmer frame, stands next to him.
It's just hellish, isn't it, Sonny?
Joe nods. The crowd surges ever so slightly towards the road.
Careful, you fucking idiots!
Joe smiles. A garbage truck rumbles towards the intersection, fast. Mr. Slick spots it and lurches forward, causing another crowd surge that pushes Joe and the elderly woman onto the road. The crowd gasps. They're all paralyzed. Joe picks up the elderly woman and pushes her back onto the sidewalk. The garbage truck's horn blasts. Its tires screech. Joe turns just in time to see the truck plow into him. His body explodes under the front wheel of the truck. Mr. Slick slides out of the road unnoticed as it converges on Joe's shattered remains. Some people look away in horror. Some shout at the people next to them, accusing them of causing the surge. The crowd starts pushing and shoving each other. Further along the sidewalk, Mr. Slick strides away from the chaos with a satisfied grin. He pulls out his phone, calls someone, and pops headphones into his ears.
Crawford, we're going to make a killing selling war bonds today.
Fade to black.